the sequel to the prequel of Capcom's Street Fighter II, not to be confused with Street Fighter 02 Alpha or Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold Beta Prime Turbo Hyper Champion HD, or, what was I talking about again? Oh yeah, this is Street Fighter Alpha 2 on the Super Nintendo. Oh, wait, really? On the Super Nintendo? Are you as confused as I am? Well, I guess that's right. The old gray beast goes up against the Saturn and the PlayStation with a port of this intense arcade fighter that was released in the later part of 1996, even despite the complete lack of an SNES version of the first Street Fighter Alpha. It was a bold move by Capcom to say the least, and it was probably a pretty interesting challenge for developers to translate such a visually vibrant and fast-paced game into 16-bit form. The cartoony look and fluid animations that the Alpha series was well known for was made possible here by utilizing a chip called the SDD1 to decompress graphics data. And the only other game to utilize this chip was the Japanese release of Star Ocean for the Super Famicom. So not only does that chip allow this game to look as great as it does, but it also adds some loading time, which is kind of unusual for cartridge-based games. So yeah, that does add a lot of awkward moments of silence, especially noticeable right after the announcer yells "fight." So this pause also eliminates that brief moment of special move buffer time, which is probably completely unacceptable for hardcore tournament play. There are also certain level backgrounds that really wreak havoc on frame rate, and in general, the range of character animation is reduced. Now, it's still a very good-looking Super Nintendo game, it just suffers too much in key aspects that are fairly critical to Alpha 2. So I'd say for the best Street Fighter Alpha 2 experience, you're much better off with either the Saturn version or the PlayStation version. Or even better, the arcade emulation that's included with the Street Fighter Alpha Anthology on the PS2. Alright, so I just realized I've spent a lot of deliberating on the nature of this specific port, so I definitely have to mention that this game is still awesome, no matter what system it's on. This sequel added some great new characters, including the return of Zangief and Dhalsim, and even Gen from Street Fighter 1, along with adding Rolento from Final Fight and introducing Socrata for the first time. And gameplay-wise, this one would introduce the custom combo, where you could chain together all kinds of craziness in a limited amount of time, and also added an extra alpha counter per character. Other than those additions, there weren't a whole lot of changes made from the first Street Fighter Alpha, but I think you know the drill by now as far as the very gradual improvements made for each game in what seems to be the never-ending Street Fighter franchise. But once again, I'd probably avoid this port if I were you, unless you simply want to try and push your SNES to its processing limits. But hey, don't blame me if it starts on fire or something.